busy schedules, flying around, doing events, doing XYZ, a lot of late nights. Because we ruin our rhythm, we feel like zombies during the day. You know that feeling the next day, right? It's worse than the modern hangover. That feeling of being a zombie is because we sucked out of the human body its vitality.
Many people nowadays, including myself, admittedly, struggle with sleep. There's a lot of anxiety, winding down, just burnt out from the day, and social media, entertainment. These things are an escape, and often will make it very difficult for one to prepare for sleep. A lot of people might fall asleep while on their phones while watching something. This is very common. Again, I'm speaking from personal experience. So, what can we learn from the Prophet, peace be upon him, his habits when it came to his nightly routine, his sleep, that we can apply so that we can get some good sleep?
The first part of the Prophet, peace be upon him, sleep is that he would be exhausted from the day. Right? So the day itself would take it out of him to the extent that there was actually some level of tiredness or fatigue that would lead to sleep. So many of us, our lives are so sedentary, it comes to the end of the day and our brains are fully awake. The other thing is, there was very little form of artificial light. So there was a collective communal habit of winding down when the sun goes down, of taking naps during the day in the midst of the heat, and then winding down as the sun goes down, retreating into your homes, not socializing late into the night. The previous practices of late night socializing revolved around alcohol and gambling, which were both outlawed. And so it creates a social fabric which respects the creation of God and the circadian rhythm. And that when it is dark, it is time. If the Lord shut down the OS of the universe, why is your operating system still on? Why? Right? Like, he shut down the operating system of the universe. He shut down light. Like, plants need, everything in the food chain needs light. If you think about it, if light was removed, the plants would die, every animal in the food chain would die, and we would not, like, light is the source of everything. He shuts down light, the operating system of the universe goes down, but your phone screen is still on. So that's what it comes down to, is we have to respect the rhythm with which Allah created our bodies. The Prophet, peace be upon him, respected that rhythm, right? And so usually in Medina, they would eat food twice a day in the prophetic community, once in the morning, once in the evening. And so he would eat the evening meal usually after Maghrib, sometimes after Isha. And after Isha, there would be no socializing. It would be the time for him to be with his family. And so that is a natural unwinding and a natural venting of what happened in the day, and the telling of stories and the laughs and the asking of details of people's lives. And that naturally, organically leads to slumber. And so when we deviate from the natural rhythm, that is when we will feel the deviation in our minds. That's when anxiety pops up. That's when physical aberrations, physical illness, health issues, pain pops up. It's because we have deviated from the way of the natural rhythm of things. How would the Prophet, peace be upon him, get ready for bed? The same way the day begins is the same way the day ends. It starts and ends with the Quran. So in many narrations, he would not sleep without reciting Surah Al-Mulk and Surah Al-Sajdah. These two surahs particularly. These two surahs are filled with the mention and the reflections of Allah's power, His attributes, His mercy, and His creation. And so he would recite before he went to bed. Before he went to bed, he would close all utensils. Any flame in the house would be put out. Any lights would be turned off, right? The dimming of lights. This is a prophetic practice, right? It's not just some vibing 21st century, like well-being guru has told you, like, dim the lights, 10 p.m. Wow, it's ancient news for us. And he would end with the remembrance of Allah. Bismika Allahumma amutu wa ahya. Ayatul Kursi, 3 short quls, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. These are verses of the Quran that he would recite. He would blow them and wipe his entire body. And then he would say, in the name of Allah, I live and I die. The same way he woke up, he would praise Allah for giving him life after death. So the end of night would be, he would remember death. And then he would sleep with his hand on his cheek, turned to his right side. And he would close his eyes and he would go to sleep. And this is the summary of the way the Prophet, peace be upon him, would end his day. And one thing you will see permeating throughout the day is the attachment to the Quran and the constant attachment to the remembrance of Allah. Like that is the cheat code. If you take that out, you have a shell. Which is why he said, peace be upon him, the difference between someone who remembers Allah regularly and someone who doesn't is like the living and the dead. So if I asked you, us, me and you, all of our friends, busy schedules, flying around, doing events, doing XYZ, a lot of late nights, because we ruin our rhythm, we feel like zombies during the day. You know that feeling the next day, right? It's worse than the modern hangover. That feeling of being a zombie is because we sucked out of the human body its vitality, which is not actually sleep, it's the remembrance of Allah. And sleep. They're not mutually exclusive, right? Many people also wonder, how did the Prophet, peace be upon him, sleep so few hours? That's a gift from Allah. And you can see that with many of the awliya, many of the special and gifted servants of Allah, is that Allah somehow grants them a special vitality and strength despite sleeping 3 hours a night. But as they say, don't try this at home. Get to their level and then try it out.